Welcome to this edition of the SAU Report. I'm Angela Bradford.
And I'm Nick Davis.
Today we have a student issue forum discussing topics of interest with Southern Arkansas University students. With us today is Charles Davis and Calvin McGee. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Charles, evaluate your first year here at SAU. The educational experience, has it been positive in nature?
For the most part, it's been positive, but second semester was kind of hard because I got into more classes that were in my major, and it seemed a little harder.
Okay. So, Calvin, how was your first year in college? Was it a good experience or a bad experience?
Well, my first year of college was a very good experience. I mean, considering Magnolia is a small town, it's easy for you to focus on what you have to do and what you need to get done, whether it be athletics or academics or whatever you're involved in. All my teachers were pretty responsive and didn't hesitate to help me with whatever they wanted, that I wanted them to do. As far as the campus goes, the people were pretty friendly. I mean, it's a small campus, so I get to know more people and have more people to hang out with. So it was a good experience my first year.
Okay.
Okay, you mentioned, the campus being pretty friendly and things of that nature. Recently, here at SAU, we've had cameras added to the dorms, and it's been getting a lot of flack, because a lot of people feel like we're grown, and, so I just want to know, Charles, do you feel that the camera is positive, or does it feel like, like you're in prison or something like that?
In a way it does, but also it allows you to look at yourself and evaluate your own views and the things that you do.
Okay. Calvin, have you seen the cameras yet?
Yes, I have. I mean, I've been in instances where we were just goofing off, teenagers do, freshmen, whatever you want to call them. We were goofing off and like, oh, there's a camera. Well, that makes you stop and be more cautious the next time because, and one little instance can turn into a big notoriety that can end up.
So when you first walk into the dorms, are they in locations that record in a good view, or is it like in the corners of the dorms, or where are they located?
The ones I've seen have been in Harrod and Bussy, and like the one in Harrod is like right outside by the benches. And
I was outside.
I hadn't seen the inside one in there, if it is one, which it probably is. But the one I've seen in Bussy is like when you first come inside, it's like right on top of the door. So it pretty much evaluates the entrances and where everybody likes to congregate. So, where the bunches are. It doesn't really go into discrete areas where you can like really find dirt on the campus and everything.
So you think that basically, it could be, viewed positively and negatively?
Yes, both.
Okay. So Charles, do you think it was for, the bettering of security? Because, this is my third year down here, and cameras, haven't, been a part of the dorms, but we haven't had, too many problems on the campus. So do you think it was more of security reasons or just more like invasion of privacy?
I think it was more, I would have to say, just seeing who comes in and who doesn't come out, different issues like that. I mean, they basically trying to, take care of the problems that we had a long time ago when girls was coming home pregnant. So.
Calvin, do you feel more secure with those cameras, knowing that there's somebody watching, a machine watching you at all times, for security reasons?
Not really, because, I mean, if a person has their mind made up to do something, they're going to do it regardless. Because, I mean, you have instances in stores where people are shoplifting. There's a camera right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're going to do something, you're going to do it.
Okay. So, Charles, while we're talking about the dorms, we have to check in and check out, which, I think is a great idea, for security purposes. But do you think that 12 o'clock curfew for college students is kind of steep? I mean, that you have to have your guests out by 12. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Most definitely, because, we're grown-ups and we have responsibility. We're in college, so I feel that we should also have the responsibility to have guests, stay late.
Calvin, when you do get check in at Bussy or Harriet, you have to leave your ID at the front desk. Do you feel the desk workers are keeping your identification private? Because I've known of incidents when people will walk to the dorm and look through the identifications just to see who's checked in under whose room. So do you think that most workers keep that private or not?
Well, I mean, I can't say that I can answer that question truthfully because I really don't know. But as far as what I see, when I give them my ID, they put it in the little file box and they keep it stored away. And when I come back, they have it. So that's really all I can ask for. But as far as someone coming in and checking to see who's in whose room, I would hope that they would keep those confidential and wouldn't let anybody else see that for any reason.
Okay. So, Charles, my co-host here brought up a good point about, keeping your IDs, private. How would you feel? I mean, how would do you think you come up with a system where we could check in and check out still? Because I know instances also, you all being freshmen, you all may not have encountered a problem with that. People, being able to say, well, you were here or you were there. So do you think, how would you do you think we can come up with some kind of system where our IDs and information won't be so readily available?
Well, I'm a student worker myself, and as a student worker, I try to keep everything confidential because, I mean, that's their business, and their business is their business. So I just think that everything should be kept confidential, and every student worker should just try their best, to carry out the process.
Calvin, we've already stated that SAU dorm have a curfew at 12 a.m. on weeknights and 1 a.m. on weekends. Even though, since all students are almost 18 years old or older, do you think we can figure out something, or the administrators should figure out something so students can leave their ID and be able to spend the night in campuses, in dorm rooms?
They could, like I said, they take the IDs and put them in a file box and put them in alphabetical order or what have you. They normally have a room where they have stuff in the back. They could store that file box and keep it away for that night that way. And you can tell that person up front that is working, I'm going to spend the night, or you don't even have to do that. I mean, if you want to be that private. But they could store the box away, and then when the person comes back out to work that morning, you can just come pick up your ID. That's what I think would work.
So do you think the reason that students cannot spend the night in dorm rooms is for their own safety? Or do you think it's just easier to keep people to know where everyone is if they're in their own room? What do you think the main reason is?
I think a little bit has to do with reputation of the campus. Because, I mean, I have friends that go to Louisiana Tech and other campuses. They say, well, we can just walk in and out as we please, until a certain time. And they were like, that's actually a good idea that, that we do take IDs and identify people. But I feel it has to do with reputation, because they don't want the campus to have a reputation of, well, they go and freelance and all they do is go around and have fun and sleep around and drink. And I think this has something to do with it, but it also has to do with your safety, because it could be a maniac, just walk in your room and anything can happen. But I think it has a little to do with reputation and safety.
I would take that a step further. I kind of agree with you also. As far as the spending the night, as far as the reputation of the campus overall, to me in my years here has been pretty good. But I think it also could help cut down on, if people, around our age, teenagers, young adults, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it anyway. So we have several people who are on campus who have children, and it's hard, to go to school as well as raise a child. And everyone makes mistakes, so you can't look down on those people and frown on them. Do you think that with all the new improvements that we're trying to make to Southern Arkansas, do you think that it's any kind of way we could come up with some kind of child care facility or anything like that? Because a lot of parents, especially mothers, you know, single mothers, you know, really common these days. And do you think that it's something that they can do where they can still further their education or have someone, you know, to watch their child while they're in class? You think that's possible?
That's actually a suggestion that I've heard before, and I think that's actually a good idea because the kids can become a distraction, not just only to the mother, but also to the students that are around that child. And, you know, everybody sees a baby, and that just takes everybody's attention, like, ooh, look at the little baby, she's so cute. But, you know, I think that would be an excellent idea, you know, if we could find responsible people and find a place to put the kids, that we could have something constructive for them to do until the mothers come and pick them up. That would actually be a good idea.
And Charles, speaking of child care, if SAU did invest in a child care facility, who do you think would benefit most from it? Because not only are there a lot of single parent students at SAU, but also their faculty with young children. You think they would benefit more, or also the education department? Maybe they can, you know, do lessons there for younger children. So who do you think would benefit most?
In my opinion, I would have to say, you know, SAU students themselves would benefit the most. I have to say that.
Okay.
All right. Well, Calvin, recently, you know, you're a mass communications major, and a lot of people who are either in mass communications, they either like minor in theater or something of that nature. Well, recently we had a play this semester called Blessed Assurance.
Okay.
And it was during, you know, Black History Month, and it was really talking about really the rise of black people, you know, growing up in the South back in the day. And it was some people, you know, it was a lot of flack received, you know, by a couple of words in the play, you know, the N word was used. So I want to know, what is your opinion of that? Do you think that the play, you know, shouldn't have, you know, should have omitted the word, or do you think that it was good, you know, with it as it was?
Well, I feel like if you're gonna go back and show history, you're gonna show history as it really was. You're not gonna sugarcoat it, because I mean, like you said, we're all teenagers, young adults, and people need to know the past, so you're gonna be doing to repeat it. And the N-word, I know, is offensive to some people, but you have to understand that was something that was used as a term to bring us down. But I mean, you have to overlook that, because I mean, it's only a word. A word can only do so much. I understand it might can hurt you emotionally, but you have to be stronger than that. I think that's what the play was trying to insinuate to all the people.
Okay. Charles, did you go see the play, Blessed Assurance?
Yes, I did.
Okay, how'd you feel about it?
I just felt that it was a great learning experience. I mean, for everyone around. I mean, I just feel that the N-word itself, you know, it's bad, but it's a lot of times it's not what you say, but it's how you say it, your prayer language, and the text that you use it in. And I think that they used the text in a very good way.
Well, me, as a, you know, as a young African American student, I was kind of upset with the reaction of some African Americans, you know. As a play, I mean, I believe this is, that I can recall, the first time that we actually had, you know, a black play since I've been here. And I think that's great that, you know, the campus is making strides. And to see the reaction, I think, you know, really showed that people, you know, really how shallow they are. You know, in this time, you know, I'm sure racism does still exist, you know, in certain forms. But we, you know, I think as people, you know, overall, blacks, whites, and foreigners, you know, students, I think that we all need to overcome that, you know, and realize, like you said, it's just history. And I mean, a lot of people were hurt by that, but I think, you know, we really need to be able to overcome that now and interact more with each other.
I agree. Calvin, speaking of Black History Month, this was the first semester that we had Martin Luther King holiday. So how did you feel about this day off? Did you feel that the students honored Martin Luther King the way that he should have, or do you think most students just have an extra play day?
Well, I feel, to be honest with you, everybody took it as an off day.
Off day.
An off day, but I feel in order for us to all like celebrate what he overcame and what he did for our country, I think you shouldn't just make it an off day and say, well, go home, it's Martin Luther King Day. You should like try to do something constructive to at least like 5 or 10 minutes just to say, well, he did this and it's gonna help us come together as a country, and we need to overcome whatever little racism we have left in this country so we can all be as one and we can unite and accomplish goals that haven't been accomplished yet.
Okay. Well, while we're speaking about Black history and things of that nature, as a freshman, when I came to Magnolia, I was really surprised at the the ratio of foreign students that we have here. There's a lot of foreign students, and the numbers have just increased as I've been here. So, Charles, I was wondering, how do you feel, that, the campus overall as Americans, that we can, have some kind of more interaction with the foreign students?
I think it's a great idea because America is called the melting pot, and I'm just glad that we're able to interact with people of different cultures and able to see how they lived and how they were brought up.
Okay. Calvin, I know that SAU as a whole, they welcome the international students pretty well. And also when they get here, they have the International Student Association. So they even help international students themselves get along more. But how do you feel that SAU students treat the international students when they get here? Do they do any activities or anything to make the students feel welcome since they're so far away from home? Do you see any students going out their way?
Well, as far as I can see and what I've experienced, I've met a couple international students and they seem all right. I mean, like Andrew Guy, everybody knows him as Bolo. We play basketball together all the time. He's a great guy, And I see a lot of other international students. I say a lot of races. People say like, well, he do this, he does that, he worship this. I say we all do the same thing. We just go about it in a different way. And if you can look over those little differences that we all have, I mean, you can find out that they basically do the same thing we do. They enjoy the same music as we do. Like, for instance, you probably at the ISA banquet when those two guys did the Eminem song. And they're from another country. I'm like, Eminem? Like, oh, really? And they knew the words and everything. So, I mean, international, I have no problem with international students. I feel if I can have something in common with anyone, I have no problem with them. And yeah, I feel that SAU students tend to have things to do and have something to do with the international student.
Well, okay, the international students, a lot of them, I know when I go to the computer lab, I find them over there a lot.
Yeah.
They're really helpful, being in class with several of them. I'm taking foreign language, for instance, and I have met a guy, he's pretty cool, and I really never would have talked to him if I hadn't had class with him. And I feel like, with different activities, I think it could be more interaction. Because once you really get to meet them, it's like they really are into a lot of the same things that we are, that we're really no different. So, but I mentioned the fact of computers. Charles, I was wondering, in the library, we recently, have new computers this year in the library. But I feel like a lot of times when I go over there, I know me personally, it's like all the computers are filled up. And like, I need to really do research, but I can sometimes I see people on there chatting. I want to, get your thoughts on that.
Well, I just think basically that, people should prioritize their subjects. I mean, you shouldn't just go in the computer lab or the library, for instance, and just do things that are meaningless to your academic, success. I just really think that they should just focus on getting more computers if they can, and just try to work with the computers they have right now.
So you're pretty much saying that if they want to chat or play on the internet, they should go to the computer lab, but the library should be pretty much just for research and something to better your work study, right? Okay. Calvin, the street behind Wilson and the street right in front of the nursing building, the speed limit there is 30 miles per hour, and everywhere else the speed limit is 15 miles per hour on campus. There's no speed sign in the middle of the road, So, you know, you don't know the speed limit pretty much until you get there, and it's so fast. Do you think that the different speed limits on campus is accurate?
I think they need to change that. I really think they need to cut it down to 15 because I've been in the instance where I almost got ran over. I mean, if it wasn't for me being quick or somebody saying it's a car coming, I probably wouldn't be here today. And yeah, I've seen a lot of instances where people been walking and other people don't care. They just keep flying by and they almost hit the people. So yes, they do really need to evaluate that and cut that down because something could happen very soon.
Bringing up another point off that, at nighttime, coming through over here by the business building, you're driving through the road at night, it's hard to see people. And I know like SI sessions are held over here, you know, at nighttime. So do you think, Charles, that we can get more lighting, or has there been a problem? Have you encountered that problem? Because I know me personally, I've been driving a couple of times and almost didn't see someone at night. Not that I was speeding or anything, it's just the fact that if you see somebody walking, you know, it kind of startles you a little bit. Have you, had to encounter a problem like that?
I wouldn't say myself, I wouldn't say that I've encountered that, but I have heard people talk of it, not being able to see people as they cross because of the, the lighting. They need to add more light.
Okay.
They need to add more light.
So, Calvin, do you think that the SAU bookstore has gotten better since mobile text is here to give them competition?
Me personally, no. I mean, the books are still incredibly high, and comparing to mobile text, they're very, very high. And I understand that those on scholarship, they have no problem because they can get a voucher and get their books paid for through the voucher. But those who don't have a lot of money, but they still have to use the bookstore, it's a real bound on them because those books really add up at the end of accumulating all of those books.
You brought up an interesting point about the prices of the books being high. I mean, me personally, I go to mobile text. I mean, they're really kind of getting a little high to me also. But I mean, I agree with you also. I think books, nowadays are really high and expensive. So, Charles, I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think that there is a certain thing that we can do? I mean, what do you prefer, to get your books from mobile text or from the bookstore, the campus bookstore?
Well, you have to look at it both ways because, yes, mobile text books are cheaper, but at the end of the year, you're gonna want that refund back. You're gonna want to get that money back. So I bought my books from the SAU bookstore because I can get that money back from the books, and that's real.
Okay. So, Calvin, where do you buy yours at mobile text or the bookstore, or do you shop online?
Mobile text.
Okay. Right now, college parties cannot be held at the SAU skating rink because of activities. How do you feel about that, Calvin?
Well, I feel if it's SAU's skating rink or whatever you want to call it, and we can't have parties there, it's not right because it's our property. So I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have a party there. I mean, they might have a reason of saying, well, it might get out of control or it might be too many people there and the capacity might bring about trouble. But I feel if it's ours, we should be able to responsibly monitor it and use it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate both of y'all for being here today, Calvin and Charles. With an SAU report, I'm Angela Bradford.
And I'm Nick Davis.
Thank you for tuning in.